So what I'm going to do now is connect up all my LED downlights. You can see some of them are pretty much ready to go because I got the Wago connectors on them. Some of them, like over there at the end, they've just got the loop in them, so I'm going to have to cut through those. So the first thing I'm going to do is go over to my connector blocks that you've seen previously. I'm going to disconnect the main feed to the lights so it's safely isolated. I can work my way around and fit all these in place and get every light sorted, which will be handy for when it's dark then, because we'll have plenty of light up here. And also it's just another job ticked off the list. So just in case any of you ask, I'm just going to show you quickly on the floor how I wire these up with 2 pieces of cable, just to give you a demonstration of what I'm doing. Alright, so these downlights are lap 5-watt LEDs, and on the top you'll see above the terminals they've just got this little protective cap there. Alright, you pull these little bits together there, pop them up. If you look inside, you've got the terminals, you've got a live and a neutral on both sides, so you can daisy chain these. So basically you take your cable from one light into here, and then you put the other one there, back out into the next light, and so on, which is exactly what I've been doing. Obviously when you get to the last light in your run, or your chain, or a radial circuit, whatever you want to call it, then obviously you only have one cable. So what I've been doing is using my automatic wire strippers. I take the end of the length of cable like that. I trim another section off like that. That's not done a very good job actually. Let's try it again. That'll do. Then I've been leaving the earth wire a bit longer. You need to trim these two down quite short for this. Right, I'll poke that up. Then if you look inside there, you've got your live and your neutral. So you pop these in like that and that. Just make sure the coloured sheath goes inside, and when you do, you'll notice that these both spring up. If you want to remove these wires now, you just have to push down on those, and the push fits, they'll just allow it to release and come out. Now, although this isn't probably best practice, what I've been doing is putting a length of earth sleeve over there. I trim that down to size, and then I've been popping that inside there, like that. Then taking my clip, I've been placing that over the top, and I'm clipping that down into place. Now what the clip does is it holds onto the grey outer sheath, so if this is pulled, all the tension is on this bit of the cable, not on the individual wires. Now to go back to why I've done it this way, well, the reason for that is these particular LEDs are double insulated, so they don't actually require an earth. Now, you've got a few ways you could do this. Really, is what I should do is take my cables into a junction box in the ceiling, and then from the junction box just have a 2-core wire down to this. Now, had I got different LED downlights and done a bit more research at the time, I rushed it when I got these really, I've had them lying around for a while, but anyway, you can get some with an earth terminal on the double insulated ones, and it's purely just to safely terminate the earth wire, and then you know you've got your earth wire available if you need it in the future. These ones don't, so without using a junction box, really this is all you're left with doing. Or you could pull that outside and put a little connector block on it, but I'm not going to do that because it'd be flapping around. So for me, I'll check with the electrician when he comes to sign off. If he's not happy, I'll have to look for a different way of doing it, or even invest in new LEDs which are a bit better. But for me, that's a decent solution. It's not going anywhere, it's all safe, it's all housed inside this little clip there. That's all safe if you tug on it, and it's all in one place, you know, so we'll see, but that's what I'm doing anyway. So that's all my downlights done now, and as I showed you in the previous video, I've got these junction boxes here which I'll show you now, and this is one of the reasons why I put them here. So if you look here, I just disconnected this earlier. By connecting this back into this connector block, I will now have power back to all the lights again, so we can test them out. And like I say, it may seem a longer winded way. I didn't really explain 100% why I did this. I know I could have chained these behind the light switches, to be honest with you, but I love having the access here. I've got it all labelled up. It's like a nice little box, and if I ever want to change the circuits, or say put this circuit on its own MCB in the consumer unit, so all I have to do is unplug that, and I can bring another cable up to it, and boom, I've got a brand new circuit. So for me, I've just future proofed it. It's my house and I just like doing things like that. So pop the earth back into there, or CPC as everyone calls it now. We're going to pop this back into the Wago box in here. And again, a bit like on the LED downlights, you've got those grips there. I know I mentioned before about these being maintenance free, and a few people picked me up on it. And I didn't mention that, yeah, obviously these don't need to be maintenance free because they're exposed in a cupboard. But yeah, if you want them to be maintenance free, you've got to put a cable tie, I think it's by there, and it has to be screwed to a joist or screwed to something. But the point is they can be made maintenance free if you want them to be. Press the one switch, there we go, 2 lights on. Press this switch, there we go, 3 lights on. Finally, that switch there, and all those lights go on, perfect. Then on my landing I got this switch. If we turn that on, we got those 2 lights. Let's go around the side here. We'll take a look now at the stairs. There we go, and the other one's on, perfect. So they're all working. In case anyone just noticed this, which is that big hole there, that's not for a light, that's for a smoke alarm. The only thing I've got to do here now, where I got those 3 switches, that's just temporary. I've actually bought this, which is a 3-gang dimmer switch. Axiom, I got this one from Tool Station. I couldn't find anything else cheaper, and you've got to be careful because a lot of them say they're for low powered and things like that, but they won't actually run LEDs, or they won't dim LEDs, so you've got to get the right one. But that was 30, I think it was 35 or 36 quid, and I just couldn't find one cheaper. Not one that sort of did the job. Online there were a few about the same price, so I had no information on. This had a few decent reviews, but only time will tell. But that's going to go lengthways, and if you remember, I cut the architrave out there, and it's cut out, I checked it yesterday, just perfectly, so that will just sit inside that now. As you come in, you can dim all the lights there and all the circuits in the loft. This one, like I said, is for the landing, so I don't want a dimmer on that, that's for those lights there. And the one I haven't done yet is that one over there. Like I said, I'm going to actually put a switch and the light over there on that wall somewhere, just like a light up in the top of the ridge there is what I'm thinking. We'll do that when we get to the end of the project, I think. Not essential at the moment. Just make sure that's dead before you start working on it, or otherwise you might be dead. I'm just going to pop these Wagos off. You see why I like using these. They're so handy. I just reuse these all the time just for isolating cables when you're working on them. They're brilliant. So you just pop them over the top, no fuss at all. I like leaving surplus cable on if I can push it into the walls. You know, certainly when you've got a stud wall, I don't really see the point in cutting it all back all the time because you never know when you might need a bit in the future. This one's going to be a bit more tricky there, so I think we might cut that one down possibly. And this cable, I usually use the Prisian or Prisman or Prismian or whatever it's called, and this is a bit tougher, this one, I have to be fair, so it's not as easy to work with. I can't remember what one this was. It is tough. I don't know if it's where it's been left here for a while. It's almost not rubbery, it's gone really plasticky, so I don't really like this, I'll be honest. It's quite stiff stuff to work with. I was probably trying to penny pinch again and bought some cheaper stuff. Well, there we go. Right, we'll actually get there now. There we are. There we go. Take it off in pieces like that. Yeah, less to come. So that was a bit better, wasn't it? Can pop the end off there now. What I do with these, I fold that over and I leave what I want on the end, so back there, slide it off a little bit and then I just snip it. And when I go back then, look, we're basically good to go. Do with my thin nose pliers here, don't know why I'm messing around with these. There we are. got our screws. I should have taken those out earlier. So I'm going to pop that out now. Got another screw by here, pop that one out. And my plastic caps. It's alright, if you want to twist that, you can twist it round. There we go, 1 cap, 2 cap. I'm going to pop those out of my hand now. Lovely. Right, twist that back around. And then when you do this as well, right, just make sure, if you've never done this before and you're thinking of changing a socket in your house, when you do these wires there, obviously leave enough that they're going to flex around and you've got enough to play with if you ever take it off, but also watch they don't cover these screw holes. I've seen that before. When I had a house before, you take the sockets off, and I don't know who had done it, and they'd pinched the wires with the screw. So just make sure it's all in nicely before you start pushing this up. And what you want there is it to be fairly free. Now, although this has got a Phillips head on it, you can also use a flat braid screwdriver in this. There we go. Once we got that in, we've got a bit of a bite. I'm just going to put the other one in, and I just apologise as well if there's any heavy breathing going on. I've had a bit of a cold, so I've noticed I'm kind of snorting a bit, so apologies for that. And before we get too tight with this, move it round a bit. And with these drywall back boxes, the screw and this socket is actually what pulls the drywall box tight to the wall. So before you overdo it, I'm going to go and get a spirit level now. What I do is put my level. This one's probably a bit long really. If I tilt that down, sometimes the longer levels are actually a bit more accurate. Just tap that up, and then with the level on it, I'm just going to tighten this up. I know I'm being a bit pedantic here, but I tell you what, it makes a hell of a difference. If you've got a few sockets all together, they're all nicely lined up, it makes the job look way better. So with the level in place, if you're able to hold it with one hand and do this, there we go, that's fine. To tell you what I'm going to do with the plastic caps, I'm going to leave those on top of the socket, because if I've got any problems at the end, I don't want to be trying to pull those out because sometimes you damage them. So we'll leave those there and we'll put them all on. Once all the sockets are on, we've got it connected back up and know it's tested, all working. I say tested, before anyone flags me up, I don't mean tested by the electrician as sign off. I mean just that everything's working and it's not tripping down the stairs. I'll get the proper final sign off once the whole loft is done. Spirit level there, bang on level, and it allows me to sort of apply the pressure to this other socket over here while I'm doing it, which is good. Bang on. Absolutely lovely. So there we go, that's those two bang on level, and you can see as well by using the same model, they're both the same shape, they look the same, which above the desk is exactly what I want really. Being a bit fussy if I'm honest, they're going to have plugs hanging out of them most of the time, but nice to do a tidy job I suppose. So we're back at the beginning where I started. All the other sockets are done. We've just got these two left here which both have one feed going to them which is live, and they're the two final ones that are going to reconnect the ring back up. I've been down, turned off the power to this ring on the consumer unit, so this is all dead now and safe to work on. And when I've done this, I'll go back down, turn the power on, and fingers crossed it'll all be working fine. So finally that's all the sockets wired up. I've been down, turned the power back on, so the ring is all connected in the loft. Now all I'm doing is using my little lap tester there just to check that all the connections are okay. And there's my sockets all nicely in place, and you can see using that spirit level is worth it, because once you get them all lined up like that, it's a lot more pleasing to the eye. Then going round, one socket there, we got one there, one over in the corner, just over there. We got one over in that corner as well, and then here, like on the other side we just looked at and I showed you previously, we now got the 2 USB sockets there, so 4 USB ports, 4 sockets above the table, then we got 4 sockets below the table. And over here in this little sort of cupboard corner, not sure what I'm going to do with this yet, whether just to leave it open or put some sort of door on here, and then that can be some sort of storage cupboard as well. Not that I need it, I've got plenty of storage around here. But yeah, 2 more sockets. We got 1 more socket then just out on the landing out there, and the reason for that is things like a hoover, that kind of thing. And this one I just showed you as well, just by there, same thing. I find these ones on the end are very useful for a hoover or a vacuum. If you're cleaning the place, you want the ones that are close to the door, then you stretch the cable. Obviously the ones in the corner tend to be useful for appliances, TVs, computers, you know, whatever you want up here. So all I've really got left now is my windowsill to do over there, and I'm going to do that out of a large piece of MDF, maybe 25mm MDF, I'm not sure whether to go for like a nice chunky one. I'm going to put some 2x4 across there as supports, and then I'll probably screw that down and then just fill over with my wood filler, and then that'll be glossed white, I think, just keep it clean. And then I've got to do a windowsill over there, the same with MDF. Out on the landing we're going to go with like a pine out there, and I'm going to stain that to match the ones that are already down on the landing. It's like with an oak, I think I used bright wax, medium oak colour I think. But yeah, all the sockets are in now. We've got all the lights up, which we saw earlier in the video, so they're all looking good, nicely in line. You can see they're all in line with each other, so yeah, it's all looking good. I think we're almost there.